You guys.
Hi, Julie. How are you? Um, Good evening and welcome to the CASAA update for the week of 11/16/2015. Hi, Julie. What's been going on this week?
Oh my gosh. This is supposed to be our quiet time. This is when we all recharge our batteries and kind of rest up from a really horrible legislative season and get ready to go into the next one. Yeah. So anyway, we've got a few calls to action and local alerts that I'm going to get out of the way real quick. We've got two calls to action for Pennsylvania. The tax that just will never seem to go away. It keeps getting resurrected like something out of the zombie apocalypse. And we've got another call to action on the ban on e-cigarette use wherever smoking is prohibited. So those two calls to action are out. Pennsylvania folks, if you haven't seen it, get busy. We'll have links in the blog description. Local alerts. Oh my goodness, it's been busy. Laredo, Texas. If you're listening to this and you're in Laredo, you shouldn't be listening to this. You should be dealing with your city council because they've got an indoor vaping ban that they're discussing tonight. Um, Englewood, Colorado. Yeah, you shouldn't be listening to this either. You're supposed to be out there at your city council trying to explain to them why we're not smoking. Um, Kansas City, Missouri, they've got an indoor vaping ban discussion scheduled for Wednesday, November 18th. And we do have a local alert out on that. We're mostly rebroadcasting the local alert issued by Brave, which is the bi-state regional advocates for vaping education. Um, let's see, Cook County um, took the horrible step of one of their committees basically pushing through a 20 cent per milliliter tax. It still has to go before the full commission, we understand. So there's still an opportunity to get in there and start explaining to your elected officials why this is counterproductive. Cook County is particularly problematic because Chicago is actually in Cook County. And Chicago, of course, there's just nothing out there that they don't love to tax. And they recently passed a tax of 55 cents per milliliter. So, if you're in Chicago, you're going to find, if you can find a shop that will carry the liquid after this, these taxes go into play, you're going to be spending a fortune. And, it's really terrible because from our standpoint, yeah, you can still get stuff online, but, we want the brick and mortar shops. That's where the sense of community is created. People can go, get information, help making the switch. They're kind of like mini quit smoking clinics.
Nice.
So, we don't want to do anything that's going to disrupt the ability of businesses to do business. But apparently, Cook County just doesn't care. Um, Cleveland, Ohio. This is an interesting one. And we do have a local alert out on this one. They're looking to limit the sale of flavored smokeless tobacco products to specialty tobacco shops. And they're also going to be talking about tobacco 21 and including e-cigarettes in the definition of tobacco. So, this is a pretty big threat. The last thing we want is e-cigarettes limited in flavors. And we also don't want a situation where you have to be 21 in order to have it. As far as we can tell, 18-year-olds are adults. They
Hmm.
can enter into contracts, they can vote, they can serve in the military. We're not talking about something that is incredibly dangerous here. E-cigarettes are pretty darned low risk. So, we're pretty opposed to raising the age for e-cigarette use to 21. And we're going to be issuing a local alert for Boston, Massachusetts this week as well. Think about it's the same thing as basically that's going on in Cleveland. So we're going to see a lot of activity with our local jurisdictions in terms of this tobacco 21 nonsense because, you just need to be 21 in order to make that decision. But you can also get married, I think, in some states, you know,
Yep.
even before 18. You
Yep.
can have children. There are all
Hmm.
sorts of things that you can do, but you're not allowed to have an e-cigarette, whatever. So that's pretty, I think yes, I hit all the local alerts. Um, So, so a few big things this week. First off, CASAA actually put out a newsletter. And that's something that we've been talking about for a long time, but it's just hard to find the time to do it. And we were kind of joking about should we call it the quarterly newsletter if we get around to it, or should we talk about it as the mostly monthly newsletter? And the answer is we don't know how regular it's going to be, but we're really going to make an effort to try to get it out at least quarterly, but probably more often than that. And in our newsletter, we talked about a number of things that I'm not going to go through in the podcast. But if you didn't get our newsletter, that means that either you're not a CASAA member or you've signed up for us and we're now in your spam folder. Or it is possible that you signed up as a CASAA member, but you didn't opt in to receive emails. So, if you didn't get the newsletter, reach out and let's see if we can figure out how to make sure that you get on the right list to get that. Um, I don't know that you guys announced it the last time, but we've got two new board members, um, which is pretty exciting. It's not something, I mean, Jan, how often do we add a new board member?
Mm, I
It's
think
pretty rare.
I think the last two were in rapid succession, Alex and I, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're very careful about who we add because there's a team effort here and people need to be team players. But we're really excited. We added Bruce Nye, who a lot of people will know who are active in the community. He did the Attainable Advocacy Show, which is pretty awesome. And then Brian Carter, who is a psychologist and he's worked with nicotine dependence issues, and he was actually on our board of advisors and we worked with him, and we're just thrilled to pieces when he agreed to join the board. And in fact, we sent Brian to the e-cigarette summit in London this past week, and so we'll be pretty excited to hear what he has to share about that. And
Yeah.
I did want to talk just a little bit about the e-cigarette summit. Jan, you've been following all of this, I'm sure. It's
Mm-hmm.
interesting because there are a few different views on this. So the first one I'm going to share is Jim McManus, who's a director of public health for the county of oh, I don't even know how to pronounce this. Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire?
Yeah, that sounds right. In
Okay.
England. And there's going to be a link to this, but he wrote a really wonderful piece talking about how his views on e-cigarettes have changed over time, and a lot of it was involving attending events like the e-cigarette summit in London. Then on the other end, you get Simon Clark, who is the director of the Smokers Lobby Group Forest, who
First.
is just super intelligent, very passionate, and he makes a whole lot of sense when he says, "Yeah, I'm not going. I'm not going because I don't feel that the consumers are adequately represented. I don't think there are any dual users there, and it's something that's kind of being a little co-opted by public health, and I do have a whole lot of sympathy for that view. It's as exciting as it is, and as much as I embrace public health coming around, that is
Mm-hmm.
just so awesome. I think that as consumers, we need to be very mindful that their mindset is a little bit different.
Oh yeah.
Uh, okay, so, I want to be very careful and very general in saying this, but, we wind up in situations where, okay, e-cigarettes, we're estimating them to be about 99% less harmful than smoking. When you look at it that way, I can see no scenario under which it makes sense to impose any kind of real restriction on these products other than good manufacturing practice standards, adequate labeling so that, consumers can get information, packaging rules so that they're tamper resistant, child resistant, all of that. You know, Anything much more than that, I just really can't see where there's any benefit for consumers. On the other hand, if you're in public health, you start looking for ways to make this less attractive to non-smokers.
All right.
And so
Yeah.
you do things like limit the liquid strength to, 20 milligrams per milliliter is the highest amount that you can sell as a consumer good.
Mm-hmm.
And they determined that because they determined that a majority of smokers would find this adequate.
Wow, they've never
You know,
met me.
yeah. Well, yeah, we won't even talk about where I am, but I guess my point is that I understand the call for caution, and as excited as I am to see the public health people come around, I think we still need to keep pulling back a little bit and looking at the big picture and saying, yeah, these are so low risk.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that we do to try to make these less attractive to non-smokers, and at some point, every smoker was a never smoker.
Yep.
So if people are going to experiment with nicotine, why in the world would we want to make the least risky alternatives um, unattractive to them? So anyway, it was an interesting thing.
Right.
And then I just wanted to briefly mention that the reason why Alex isn't doing the show tonight, he was at VCC
Mm-hmm.
in Tulsa, and he reports that it was a resounding success and a whole lot of advocacy went on. And last week I was at the Houston Vape Showcase.
Right.
And that too was a really good event with advocacy. And I think moving forward, you're going to see CASAA very narrowly focused on events that are serious about the advocacy, not just advertising it, the ones that
Right.
advertise and actually deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the other thing, let's see, we've got our meeting with OIRA next month, December 15th,
Right.
and that will be me and Carl Phillips and Brian Carter. And we're working diligently on that. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is printing out all of our testimonials and bringing them in boxes with us to leave them with
Nice.
the OIRA people. It's important for them to understand that real people's lives are being impacted
Right.
in a very substantial manner. So this is again a call out to all consumers. If you haven't done your testimonial yet, now is the perfect time to do it. We've got I've still got some more to approve tonight, but we are right at about 7,200 testimonials,
Wow.
which is really amazing. And some of these testimonials, I don't know. I read them, and every once in a while, I just have to stand up and walk away from the computer because I'm just so overcome. Really some emotional stuff. So, um,
Well, it's
yeah.
it has changed many people's lives for the better. Yeah.
Oh, it really has, and for me, it's a constant reality check and a refocusing for me because I think that we we just sometimes lose sight of the forest through the trees. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so did I do it in 15 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah, you did. I think you did it in about 13. So you
Oh,
did. You got like 2 minutes to spare. So this would
I
be.
get
She
I get
shall.
bragging rights.
I
Bragging
was gonna.
rights.
You do. You get bragging rights, but this is also the point where we say if you are not a CASAA member, please join us at CASAA.org and opt in to receive communications from CASAA, so we can
Yes.
let you know if there's an issue in your area, and you can get our fabulous newsletter. We are CASAA Media on Twitter, Google Plus, and Instagram. And the official CASAA page is over on Facebook. So come on over and give us a like. Thank you for everything you do for us, Julie. It
Oh,
was a
it is.
pleasure having you on.
Oh, thank you so much. One last thing. We're now almost at, I believe, 115,000 members,
Wow.
which is just pretty shocking, actually.
Yeah.
Yay.
Excellent.
Okay, super. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Julie. Have a great night.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.